The book of Daniel is one of the most intriguing and debated texts in the Bible. It offers a blend of historical narrative and prophetic visions, providing insight into the Jewish experience during times of exile and persecution. However, the authenticity of Daniel has been a subject of intense scrutiny. Critics argue that it was written much later than it claims, challenging its historical accuracy and prophetic nature. This video will give an overview into these debates and outline some of the evidence. Imagine being told for generations that a famous story you've grown up believing was historically impossible. That was the case with the book of Daniel. For much of modern history, scholars mocked Daniel as a late, pious fiction. And their favorite gotcha proof? A name, Belshazzar. In Daniel chapter 5, we're told that a king named Belshazzar throws a massive feast and sees a mysterious hand write on the wall, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. That very night, Babylon falls to the Persians. Belshazzar dies, and Daniel is exalted. The prophecy comes true. For centuries, no historical records outside the Bible mentioned a king Belshazzar. According to every ancient historian, the last king of Babylon was Nabonidus. This discrepancy led many to dismiss the book of Daniel as a historical source. So scholars said, aha, gotcha! Daniel must have been written centuries later by someone who didn't know Babylonian history. It's a legend, not a record. And with that, they dismissed the book's prophecies as written after the fact, cleverly disguised predictions about events that had already happened. But then, a turn of events changed everything. New discoveries began to challenge the long-held doubts. But the story didn't end there. Fast forward to the mid-19th century. A team of archaeologists digging through the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia uncovered a small clay tablet, heavily worn and cuneiform inscribed. They found it near the ruins of Ur, the city of Abraham. It would become known as the Nabonidus Chronicle, a part of the larger collection of Babylonian chronicles now housed in the British Museum. This discovery was a significant archaeological vindication, providing tangible evidence that supported historical accounts from the book of Daniel. The Nabonidus Chronicle, along with other artifacts, continues to be a cornerstone for understanding ancient Mesopotamian history. At first glance, the tablet looked like just another list of kings, battles, and grain shipments. But as experts translated the faded Akkadian text, something jumped off the clay. The name Nabonidus was conspicuously absent from where it should have been, raising questions about the historical records of Babylon's last king. This discovery has led to a deeper investigation into the era. What they found told a familiar story. It told the story of King Nabonidus and how he did something strange. He left Babylon for nearly a decade, retreating to the desert oasis of Tema in Arabia. And during his long absence, he entrusted the kingdom to his son, Belshazzar. Wait, Belshazzar? The discovery of ancient texts has confirmed his existence. This revelation reshapes our understanding of Babylonian history. It's a groundbreaking find. That name, once thought to be undeniable proof of Daniel's illegitimacy, was now staring back from an authentic Babylonian royal document. Not only did Belshazzar exist, but he was functioning as co-regent, ruling in his father's place. Suddenly, that strange detail in Daniel 5 made perfect sense. When Belshazzar offers Daniel a reward for interpreting the writing on the wall, he says, "You shall be the third ruler in the kingdom." This title perfectly aligns with Nabonidus and Belshazzar's co-regency. Why third? Why not second? Because Nabonidus was still king, even in absentia. Belshazzar was second. The most he could offer was the third spot. This tiny, specific detail, long dismissed as biblical error, turned out to be a historical bullseye. The irony of its vindication left scholars astounded, reshaping our understanding of ancient history and its narratives. Here's the irony. The very passage scholars used to discredit Daniel ended up being one of its strongest confirmations. The fall of Babylon, as described in the book of Daniel, has now been corroborated by numerous archaeological findings. These discoveries include ancient tablets, artifacts, and ruins that align with the historical accounts. Historians and archaeologists continue to uncover evidence that supports the biblical narrative, providing a deeper understanding of this ancient civilization. It gets better. The discovered artifacts also describe the fall of Babylon to Cyrus the Great, just as Daniel said. They show that Babylon fell without a major battle, how the people opened the gates, how the Persians respected local religious practices, how the Babylonian gods were not desecrated, and the transition of power was relatively peaceful. This again matching the biblical account. And here's the part that leaves us in awe. For centuries, the Book of Daniel preserved this obscure bit of history. A king forgotten by time, a night of judgment, a quiet conquest. Details that had completely vanished from known history, that can only be found in sources written from what we call living memory. The implications of this discovery are profound. If the Book of Daniel was written when the evidence shows it was, how can we explain the striking accuracy of its prophecies? So, what does this mean? It doesn't absolutely prove the entire Book of Daniel is historically perfect, but it shatters the confident claim that Daniel is just a late forgery or full of historical errors. And instead it shows us this. A book once dismissed for its supposed inaccuracy got it right when no one else did. Once again, archaeology has confirmed the truth of the Bible. And that's the true story. Real archaeology doesn't undermine faith, it vindicates it. The clay had been silent for thousands of years. Then one day it spoke. And when it did, it said the Book of Daniel is historically accurate. And if that's the case, it makes us wonder, what other disproven truths still lie buried, waiting for the day they are discovered? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Every single one makes a huge difference on small channels like this one.